This is my Hatchhyack and Android 21 schemes. 1 copy of the leader. 4 SS Trunks God Sealing Trunks. 4 Oceanic Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. 4 Sin Shenron Negative Energy Explosion. 4 Black Mass Sane Splintering Minds. 4 Lord Sludge Ghost Warrior. 4 Supreme Kai of Time Time Labyrinth Unleash. 4 Deadly Defender Goku. 4 Finn Cohesion Incarnate. 4 Instant Transmission Tensai Kamehameha. 4 Protector of the People. 4 Android 21's Scheme. 4 Pan and Giru Energy Fortification. 4 Raditz Giant Force. 4 SS3 Gogeta Super Warrior Evolution. And 4 Super Saiyan 4 Robotic Spirit Resonance. Obviously, Hatchhyack and Android 21 are scheming together. So, in this deck, you will be charging black, in the first 3 turns black energy, so you can awaken, and then after that, you'll be charging blue energy, so you can use your Android 21 schemes and your Pans and your Raditz and your Gogetas. The Pan is for her -2 Floodgate ability, to help you get extra turns. Raditz obviously is for his double blocking plus draw engine ability, and -2 spot removal if you need that. And then Gogeta is for dual attacking, so you can attack with it twice, plus it has the ability to bounce up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards by -1, so that's useful. So he can help you clear boards for as low as 3 blue energy, so that's pretty nice. Similar to the SS Goat tanks, but that requires 4 specified blue minimum in order to play it, in order to try to get the board clearing ability. The Goat tanks does have blocker, which is extra useful, but we already have a really good blocker in Raditz if we need to block. Plus we have a whole bunch of negates in the deck, so be good on that. So I wanted an extra sword, right? Double dual wielding, double edged sword, right? So wanted something extra, plus with a 20k body, because we have like 10k, we got 15k, good cards, but they're a little weak on stats. Trying to stay at the 19 and 20s, bigger stats. Being a dual attack, of course, helps knock off markers off of unisons if you need to. We got Bardock because he's a draw engine. You +1 to draw, which helps him stick on the field longer. He's specified 2 black, so keep that in mind. Don't accidentally pay blue for this. Typically, you'll play this on turn 2. This will be like your turn 2 play, and you start accruing, hand advantage, as well as you can start swinging as soon as turn 2 with this. So by the time you get to turn 3, you have this and the leader swinging and drawing 2 cards every turn. And if need be, late game, you got your blue defensive cards to help you out. So that's where the Raditz come in. He has the -2 ability, which also has a Floodgate ability similar to Pan. So there's that. He has the Spirit Boost effect, so you can combine them with the Sin Shenron. So when you remove a marker from it with Sin Shenron's ability, you can trigger the effect of warping one of your opponent's battle cards from their drop. So it's a good graveyard hate there. And of course, Android 21 Scheme has the ability to pretty much give Summoning Sickness to the first battle card that is played every turn. So we definitely want to be able to take advantage of this to slow things down. That's why we have a whole bunch of warp and bounce effects in the deck to help us, clear our opponent's board of creatures. Of battle cards. So that way, when we do play this and your opponent does play something, it will not be able to attack in the turn in which it came to play, which is helpful against any big threats. So it's just a good Floodgate, field card. It also has the ability of giving your opponent 2 tokens at the start of their main phase, They have 10k power. We are awakening our leaders, so that wouldn't be a problem. Them being 10, them being 10k, they won't be able to hit our leader in that situation. Not only that, if they did, because of the leader's effect, if they do attack, all 7 costs or less and tokens can't attack except for whatever battle card attacked for the duration of turn. So these do synergize a little bit with each other, and they do come in the same set. But also they made sure that this has the auto that when you play a black battle card, place it into the owner's drop area. So be careful with that. But obviously you'll be playing a lot of your main black battle cards that stays on the field, or you want them to stay on the field even before you play this. So stuff like your Sin Shenron, you'll try to play that before you even drop your Android 21 scheme. Your Deadly Defender, same thing. But everything else, you don't care if you play them while Android 21 scheme is in play, because they'll still do what they got to do. Like this will still warp one of your opponent's battle cards in a turn. Even if she leaves the field, that's irrelevant. This will still do its counterattack ability, for the rest of the turn. If your opponent would attack, they have to mill 4 cards. We do lose the fact that it won't still be on the field to use as a blocker, but still its floodgate ability will still be in effect. So there's that. We don't care if this, gets sent to the drop, because it still will do its board wiping ability before it gets to the drop. So that's irrelevant. This will still help us recycle. That's part of why we have it in the deck, to help us recycle most of our cards, most of our negates, because this will let us choose 3 black battle cards with energy cost between 3 and 7. So 3 cost, 4 cost, 5 cost, right, and put them back into our bottom deck in order to play this. And then this has the activate where we can send it to the warp in order to warp one of our opponent's battle cards that's energy is equal to or greater than their current energy, which is very versatile in what it can hit with that. And typically we want to hit anything big with that obviously. So because we do run through the deck pretty fast, so we do need a way to recycle so we don't deck ourselves out. So being able to recycle our own stuff is useful. And of course this has the ability to recycle a copy of itself, so that we can just like kind of infinitely loop, so you don't deck out just by putting stuff back, including a copy of itself, and just keep that rotation going. Because when you activate his activate, he goes to the drop in order to do his warp ability. So that's how you get him in the drop. And then when you have another copy in your hand, you play that copy. You repeat the process, over and over again. So this is good. So essentially, it's a free play warp card. Let's see, moving on. We have God Sealing Trunks because somebody recommended it in my Tragedy Overground Hatchhyack deck, because we had a lot of blue unisons. It's like, why not play God Sealing Trunks? Mainly because I don't personally play counter plays like that. I play, mainly counter attacks, but it was a good idea nonetheless. Like it was a good, good idea, good concept. Like, hey, with all the blue unisons, why not, right? It's like, yeah, y'all can. At first I was like, okay, I think this person's trolling me, because you can't play battle cards that are not black into the battle area. But it's like, oh wait, God Sealing Trunks doesn't get played. You discard it to get its God Sealing effect, right? Its countering effect. So it's like, okay, so it is a good idea. Yeah, because sometimes when people comment, it's not always to give a good idea. It's usually to be disrespectful or ignorant, which is pretty common in this world, ironically, to be ignorant. So this was a good idea. Like, oh yeah, that's it's a good idea. Is a good idea, right? Free counter. your opponent tries to play a big creature, they can battle card, they can attack twice, like a 8-drop Gogeta or something similar to that, like just a big monster that could attack multiple times, you know, a win con as a war or something. Then you can use this to help you stop it, so that way you don't lose out to some big play, big push. I think part of why it was suggested was because because I had gameplay. I think that's what it was. I think the person commented on the gameplay video of the deck and pointed out why didn't I play God Sealing Trunks in the deck. And it's like, yeah, that would have been really nice to have in that situation when my opponent tapped down my my defense. It would have been nice to have a God Sealing Trunks in that point to stop that big ultimate play. I'm just thinking right now, I don't know if that ultimate probably doesn't have the flex, so this would have been a good card to have in that instant. Would have gave me the definitely would have gave me the ability to survive that turn, so that I can have the extra turn, and then the extra turn I would have burned with my Black Mass Sane, Splintering Mines, dealt some damage. So yeah, it would have helped me get that extra turn. So I see the use for the card. So there's that. Not against the card, you know, I like the card. It's just not my play style. So let's just move on from that. It's there. It adds more blue to the deck. There's 20 blue sources in the deck. So there's that. Dr. Leche permanent, you can only play black battle cards in your battle area. Auto, when a battle card attacks, the player who attacked with the card can't attack with tokens or battle cards with 7 cost or less other than the card they attacked with for the duration of the turn. Anything 8 and higher can attack. Active main, once per turn, place the top card of your deck under this card, then mill the top card of your deck, and then draw a card. We'll be doing this three times, you know, I mean, for the first 3 turns. That way, and on turn 3 is when we'll awaken. Once we do it the 3rd time, we'll awaken, because all our energy will be black. So we'll send the 3 cards under this card to the drop, draw a card, and then, you know, go from there. And then after that, after turn 3 is when you can start charging your blue energy, so that way you can start using your you know, unisons and your schemes and be scheming, right? When you awaken, still can't play battle cards that aren't black into your battle area, and then same order as the front, 7 or less, and tokens can't attack. Only 8 and higher can attack after the effect of the leader triggers. And second auto, when this card attacks, get 5k power for the duration of turn and draw a card. So obviously this will allow you to apply pressure, draw a card. When we have Bardic in play, we'll get to draw a card from it and be able to attack with them, so we can apply pressure. So we can have 2 attacks, so we draw 2 cards every turn, and we're swinging at least twice a turn, just with these, the leader in this unison. And then of course keep our defenses up. And then, you know, later on, if we need to, you know, start dropping Android 21's scheme to help slow our opponent down. Let's see. Hopefully later on I'll be able to take more advantage of the tokens. I think I saw like 1 card that was decent. I think it was like a negate or something that can take advantage of the tokens. But later on, you know, newer sets, newer card mechanics might be able to take advantage of our opponent having tokens. It'd be kind of cool to take advantage of our opponents having tokens to, you know, help us mill our opponent, right? That'd be kind of cool to just go with the fact that we do have a couple cards in the deck that can help us mill our opponent. So there's that. Mentioned God Sealing Trunks, you know, free counterplay. Let me read his effect. Counterplay, you can't activate the counterplay skills of other cards for the turn. you may discard this card from your hand. If you do, the battle card being played is sent to the opponent's hand instead of being played. If you don't, you play this card, but obviously we're going to discard this card to bounce the battle card to our opponent's hand. And then permanent, if you have a blue unison with 2 or more markers in play, you can activate the counter skill of this card for free. So that's why we have it there, so we can use it with our unisons for free. So free counter. Oceanus, negative energy explosion. It's a blocker, counter attack. Choose 1 card from your hand, discard it, negate the attack, and play this card. If you played a card, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they place the top 4 cards of the deck into the drop area. And permanent, during your opponent's turn, reduce the cost of this card by 3, so it costs 2 to play on your opponent's turn. And of course, it being a blocker can help us block an attack, so it could potentially stop 2 or more attacks in a turn. So obviously it's our favorite go-to. Negate. Send Shinron, negative energy explosion. Deflect, double strike, barrier, and blocker. So it's a barrier blocker, so we can take advantage of that. A blocker that's hard to remove. It having double strike makes it a good unison killer, good for applying pressure to our opponent. We can use it as a finisher. The active main / battle ability. Once per turn, Spirit Boost 1. That means we remove 1 marker from our unison to activate this effect. Switch this card to active mode, and your opponent places the top card of the deck to the drop area. It's just a good way of milling our opponent. And then that's it. That's all we're gonna do. Since it's a blocker, obviously we block with it, trigger its active battle ability, and remove a marker from one of our unisons to restand it so we can use it to block again. So we can get 2 blocks out of this turn. We can of course attack with this on our turn because it is double strike, then trigger its Spirit Boost ability to restand it so we can use it to block on our opponent's turn or to attack again, so we can apply heavy pressure. So a 20k double strike that can attack twice is always good, and then we can still always trigger its active battle ability on our opponent's turn if they ever attack our leader or this, or we can always trigger this effect by removing a marker from our unison, restand it, and be able to use it to block an attack later. So a lot of good uses for it. And then we have Black Mass Saying, Splintering Mind. Auto, when you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and turn it to warp. So it's another card in the deck that will help us get rid of any problematic cards, preferably anything that has dual attack or is just strong for no good reason, right? And then Auto Sparking 7, when you have 7 more cards in your drop, when this card attacks, warp 2 cards from your life to warp one of your opponent's life. So essentially you burn. So this can help us finish the game just by swinging with it and warping opponent's last life. Then we have Lord Slug, Ghost Warrior. Active main, since our leader card is a Black Machine Mutant card, we can choose 3 black battle cards with energy cost between 3 and 7, like 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 in our drop area, and place it at the bottom of our deck in any order, and then play this card from our hand, so we could play it for free essentially, right? And then active main, place this card into his owner's drop area. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost equal to or higher than their energy, and then send it to the owner's warp. So obviously we could play this with its effect. First active main, swing with it because it is a 15k body, right? And then send it to the drop with his second active main in order to get rid of a problematic battle card. Obviously this has multiple uses. You can obviously use this to get rid of like a blocker, so that way your Sin Chiron can go in and double attack your opponent. So pretty nice. Obviously this also will help us mitigate the possibility of us decking out, plus it'll help us reuse some of our good stuff, like our Oceanus, our Deadly Defenders, our Supreme Kais of Time, you know, that kind of stuff. So those are the main targets for this card's effect, including a second copy of itself, so you can just keep looping it. And then we have Supreme Kai of Time, counter attack, negate the attack, and then play this card. It has the permanent that if you or your opponent has 3 or more cards in their warp, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. We could trigger, we could get this as to be playable for 1 energy if we use instant transmission 10 times command mills, active main ability of letting us warp 2 cards from my hand in order to you know, bounce this back from our drop to our hand so we can reuse it. And then of course, if we have 3 or more cards in our warp, we'll be able to play this for just 1 energy. Or if our opponent has 3 or more cards in the warp, we can play this for 1 energy. We do have stuff that warps our opponent's battle cards, so the likelihood of this costing just 1 is pretty high. And then auto, when this card, if your leader card is black, which it is, when this card is played, using its counterattack skill, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, send it to its owner's warp. At the end of the turn, play any cards sent to the warp by this skill to their owner's battle area with their skills negated for the turn. That way they don't get no coming into play autos, so that's always useful. So we're just trying to get rid of a threat for just 1 turn, which is always good. So you can potentially stop 2 attacks from coming at you. Like, let's say your opponent attacks with their leader, so use this to negate the leader swing and then remove their problematic battle card that probably has like dual attack, get rid of it until the end of the turn, and just deal with the unison and maybe another battle card they try to use against you. At least you mitigated the possibility of them using their best attacker to attack you with. Deadly Defender, Goku, 20k barrier. It's always good to have barrier, make it hard for your opponent, easy for yourself, right? Permanent, during your opponent's turn, if your leader card is black, which it is, and this card is in rest mode, your opponent can't attack your leader card, which is always great to have an effect that prevents your opponent from attacking your leader. And this loses 5k power during your opponent's turn while in rest mode. So it's a 15k in your opponent's turn, but it's a 20k in your turn. And if you combo to, you know, keep it alive, at least for the first time it gets attacked, you pretty much will get the ability to stop 2 attacks, because they will have to attack it again to take it, you know, to take it down, and that's 2 attacks wasted on just 1 battle card, which is always great to get multiple attacks, you know, wasted per turn off of, you know, 1 or 2 cards. And then we got Finn, has deflect auto if your leader card is black, which is when this card is played from your hand, your opponent chooses 1 of their battle cards, and then you choose to warp the rest of their battle cards from the game, you know, to the warp. So it's a board wipe, not a perfect board wipe, but it's definitely a good board wipe, and it only costs 2, which I really like. It's very budget friendly, as they say. You know, you could definitely play this as, you know, as soon as turn 3 if need be. I mean, you can play this as soon as turn 2, but I doubt you'll need to warp anything as soon as turn 2. But anything is possible. Anything is possible. But you know, typically you'll probably play this like turn 4 and above. That's when your opponent probably, you know, start slowly building up a board, and you're just like, all right, let's reduce that, which is always good. So it's nice to have some black board wipe. So finally we got that. Then we got the instant transmission 10 times command man, counter attack, negate the attack, place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp into drop area. Active main, pay 1 black, specify black energy, right? Choose 2 cards in your hand and set them to the warp to add this card back from your drop to your hand, so you can use it over again. So it's a reusable negate, so I mean a counter attack, right? So that way you don't run out of defense. It's always good to have something reusable. And then protector of the people, counter attack, negate the attack. Then you may choose 1 card from your hand, place it into drop it. If you do, choose one of your leader cards, and it gets this ability. Whenever this card is attacked by a battle card, it gets 5k power for the turn. So it further helps defend your leader. Your leader will be awakened, so it will get stronger really fast with this ability. And again, anything that helps you potentially stop 2 or more attacks just off of one card is always useful, especially in Hatchhyack, because you're trying to take no damage as much as possible, or at least very little. Pretty much 1 to 0 damage is what's acceptable. Anything more than 1 or 0 damage is not good. You're not doing good. You gotta do better than that, right? Back to Android 21 schemes, right? Once per turn, when you or your opponent plays a non-token battle card, it can't attack on the, for the duration of the turn. So basically, summon sickness. So this will help us slow our opponent down. So it's just further adding to the deck's defensive capabilities. Just this already slows down how many battle cards our opponent can attack with. This will slow down our opponent, especially since we're using stuff to warp and clear our opponent's board. We're trying to make it hard. We don't want a scenario where our opponent drops something and then attacks in the same turn with that big whatever they're playing, whatever battle card they're dropping. So we definitely trying to slow opponent down. Slowing our opponent down, getting down 1 extra turn always makes the difference between winning and losing. Yep, that story of my life, right? Although when you play a black battle card, place it into the drop area, so keep that in mind. Once this is in play, it'll be hard for you to play black battle cards and keep them in play. But I taken that to account, so a lot of cards in here don't matter. It don't matter if they don't stay. You could play this, and it doesn't matter if it doesn't stay. It still does its job. Same as her. Same for this, at least for its floodgate ability. That kind of stuff. But pretty much you'll be playing a whole bunch of black battle cards before you even drop this. This is, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have, right? And then we have Pan and Giru. We only use it for its -2 ability. During your opponent's next turn, they can only attack 1 time with battle cards with energy cost greater than their energy. So any battle card that's the same cost as their current energy or less can't attack. So that just right there shuts down, essentially, just for two markers, right? Can shut down your opponent's turn, when it comes to the battle cards. So that way you only have to worry about leader swing and unison swings, which typically will only be 1 attack unless they have like a leader that can attack twice or a unison that can attack twice. You pretty much will only have to worry about two attacks, and that's an out, which is always good because you definitely want to save your defense, right? Save negates. You don't want to have to negate every attack every turn, right? You don't have to. It's good to have the ability to potentially stop, 3 or more attacks a turn. It's better to not have to stop anything. Just make it where your opponent just doesn't do anything, right? Doesn't attack, which is always good. One thing I definitely want to point out because of this, just giving me the idea, is like, damn, can't wait until we get more, barrier blockers with revenge, right? Definitely would love, some nice little toys like that. Barrier block with revenge will definitely be useful because it's one thing to block an attack. It's another thing that you have to keep blocking the attack unless you get rid of the card. So there are some, cards here to help us warp and board wipe and stuff like that, and to help us clear our opponent's board. Because if we let them keep their battle cards, like, it's hard to get rid of a opponent's leader. The leader will always be there. It's hard to get rid of a unison unless you double strike or whatever and do everything and waste a lot of valuable attacks trying to get rid of the unison. So pretty much the unison is going to be there the whole time. So there's 2 attacks every turn you always have to deal with. But battle cards are the stuff you can get rid of, so that's why we try to get rid of them. So that way, we reduce our opponent down to 2 attacks a turn, and it should be easier to stop, stop, block, drop, and roll, right? 2 attacks a turn, so that kind of good stuff. Radish Giant's Force is nice because he's 19k with blocker, which means you know, he's good for blocking your opponent's leader. Even if your opponent's leader is awakened, you know, it's only going to be 15 on average unless it has an effect to get stronger. So, you know, this can easily block the leader swing. And then it has the auto that once per turn, when you activate the blocker skill, you can restand it, right? Put it back into active mode so you can block again. And has the +0 ability. Active main, draw a card. At the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode. That way you can take advantage of the fact that it is the 19k body and apply pressure to your opponent's leader. And then activate this effect to draw a card. So that way there'll be some card advantage there. And then be able to block 2 attacks a turn. Which will typically, with this, you'll want to block a leader and a unison swing. Preferably anything 15k or less is what you want to block the most. You don't want to block anything that's 20k because, you know, obviously you lose a marker. And this card does not have a way to gain markers, unfortunately. If it did, it would have been perfect. But hey, we'll take what we can get, right? And then it has the -2 active main ability. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, return it to the owner's hand, then at the end of your turn, switch one of your blue energy to active mode. That way we can, you know, obviously use that energy for, you know, our 1 energy negates. And, you know, bouncing something is always helpful, especially if you have Android 21 already in play, it already stalled for a turn, then you play this the following turn. Use the -2 to bounce your opponent's battle card back to the hand, so that way if they do play it again, this will obviously slow it down and just further, you know, help you, you know, get them extra turns and just have control of your opponent's board in the process. Then we have SS3 Gogeta Super Warrior Evolution, 20k with dual attacks, so we can use it to apply you know, pressure on opponent's leader, or knock off a couple markers off our opponent's unison. Has the -1 active main ability. Choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, return them to the owner's hand, and then that's it. You won't get anything else out of that effect. Just being able to bounce 2 of your opponent's battle cards off the board is, you know, useful, especially if they were cheating them out through certain effects. This will be nice to just play it, bounce them out the way, swing with this thing twice at your opponent's face, right, and take advantage of that. And, you know, if you have schemes that will slow them down in the process, and it's the fact that you can, you know, do this at least 3 times before this, you know, this no longer can do its effect, right? More likely you want to get this once because your opponent probably will try to kill this with like leader and unison swings, but hey, that just means they're not attacking you if they're attacking your unisons, which is what I always like to see. My opponent waste attacks on unisons. Even though I could always play another one the following turn, right? I always forget that. Super Saiyan 4 Bardock Spirit Resonance. It has the auto once per turn when you remove a marker from this card for a Spirit Boost skill. You know, the skill of Sin Shinron. You can send up to 1 black battle card from your opponent's drop area to the warp. Has the +1 active main ability of letting you draw cards, so, you know, card advantage, right? Plus the +1 ability will help this stick on the field, plus that marker you gain can be used to feed into Sin Shenron negative energy for his effect. So you can obviously combine these two and have lots of funs, you know, swinging 5 to 6 damage a turn, because you'll swing with this, you swing with this probably twice, so that right there's 5 damage plus the leader swing. That's 6 potential damage per turn if you're using all 3 of those cards in combination, right? And still being able to block potentially 2 attacks on your opponent's turn, or, you know, however way you use the cards, right? And then the -2 ability, active main. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, they can't attack with battle cards unless they choose 1 card from their hand and send it to the send it to the warp each time they attack. So this will further add to our ability to play, being able to play this out for 1 energy. So there's good synergy there. Plus, you know, it's the fact that this will help us rip cards out our opponent's hand if they attack, which is always good. And then it's just a blanket defense capabilities of this card. If our opponent hand size is pretty low already, this will make it even harder to attack and just further decrease their hand size in the process. And that's the end of the video.